So I hear the term thrown around a lot, hurricane insurance. And it's a little bit of a misnomer because hurricane insurance is actually, we're talking about two separate policies in most cases when people think about hurricane insurance. Because when a hurricane's coming into town, it brings a lot of two things. And what are those?
Wind and water.
Exactly. So you got two policies for that. You're talking about windstorm damage and you're talking about water damage or flood damage.
Yep.
In some states like Florida, their home insurance policies actually exclude windstorm coverage.
Wow.
So they have to buy a separate windstorm policy. But in New England, most companies, pretty much all the ones that we work with, automatically include windstorm as part of the coverage in a homeowner's policy. So when you're talking about your normal home insurance policy, windstorm is covered, but what's not covered is flood. And we've talked about this a lot on the show. Flood insurance is a separate policy. You would have to purchase it and entirely on top of what you have for homeowners insurance if you want coverage for flood damage. Now, you may be required to have flood insurance because your bank has told you you're in a high-risk flood zone.
Sure.
But I always say it's a good idea for everybody to consider flood insurance if you live anywhere where it rains, because flooding can happen anywhere. The other thing I really want to dive into, though, is that second piece of that hurricane insurance, which is standard on your home insurance policy, and that's windstorm coverage. So double check, make sure that you have windstorm coverage included in your policy. If you're insured with us, you definitely do. But it's good to know. And one thing that you'll see a lot, though, is a separate deductible for windstorm or types of windstorms. So you might see a hurricane deductible, you might see a named storm deductible, or you might see a wind and hail deductible. These are different deductibles on, separate from your standard deductible on your policy that only applies if there's damage caused by one of these. So I'll start at the top with the most broad one, which is windstorm. A wind or hail deductible or a windstorm deductible. Keep an eye out for this. It might be a percentage amount on your policy, and that percentage is of your dwelling coverage. So suppose you had a 5% windstorm deductible, and your home is worth $200,000. Now that means you have a $10,000 windstorm deductible. Then you go into named storm deductible. Basically, that means the weather service has named this storm. So it's tropical storm this, or tropical depression that, or hurricane this. When the National Weather Service puts the name on it, they're tracking it closely, and that's a severe storm. That's now a named storm, which your home insurance policy might have a higher deductible. The last one is hurricane, and hurricane is exactly what it sounds like. So if we have a category 1 hurricane or higher making landfall, that type of damage is going to be subject to deductible.